we're going to be making an omelet here at Mount Olive High School. I'm going to preheat my pan, and I'm going to use a low heat because eggs are very high in protein, and whenever you cook a protein food, you want to use low heat. That keeps it from getting tough or burnt. The next thing I'm going to do is measure my butter, and we're going to be using 1 tablespoon of butter. You can tell the measurement on the butter by the hash marks here. Every hash mark is 1 tablespoon. All right. And there it goes. Now, we are going to dice an onion. This is how it's done. I'm going to slice off the ends and cut the onion in half. We're going to take the outer layer off and then make slices almost all the way through the end of the onion. Now, we're slicing this way, and I'm keeping my fingers back and using my knuckles to guide the knife. Once I have the onion chopped, I'm going to use the rock and chop method, which means I'm going to leave the knife, the front part, on the board, put my hand over it, and then mince back and forth. I can hear the butter sizzling. All right, minced. I'm going to measure 2 tablespoons of the minced onion. And 2. You don't have to be as exact as if you're making a baked good. For omelets and soups and things, you can have a little leeway. Now, I'm using 4 eggs for this omelet, so I'm going to be cracking them one at a time in a custard cup. Not all together, because there might be a little bit of shell in the egg, and I don't want that to get in with all the other eggs. So, I'm cracking here, and then adding. And we need 1 tablespoon of milk. And I'm wiping off my measuring spoon. So I'm adding the milk to the, whoops, I'm adding a little too much, but there we go. Leeway again. And I'm going to be using a whisk. Okay. Whisks are only good for liquid ingredients. You don't want to use it for a bread dough, although I've seen it being used for bread dough, because the food will get trapped in your whisk. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Okay. And let's see now. It says here 1/4 of a teaspoon. So I'm going to measure over here. Oops. Okay, there we go. Now that we have that done, I'm going to go back and check the onions. Oh, they look nice. They're translucent now, which means I can see through them, and they're ready. So, I'm going to chop my pepper to get it ready to go inside the omelet. I'm going to do that quickly. A great way to cut pepper is to just go around the corners with it. I've washed all my vegetables in advance. Now, the core, let's get rid of it. We're going to rock and chop a little bit. I'm going to move my onions to the side. Rock and chop with this. It's nice to add color to foods. Red and yellow make us think of hunger. Rocking and chopping. So far, so good. I'm going to add some ham. Okay. And let's see, I can also rock and chop the ham. Oops. All right. Add a little bit of pepper also to the eggs. So let's see if we can add some pepper. The great thing about measuring in these large containers, you can get the large opening and actually level off with the large opening. Whoops. Let's try it. There we go. Okay. Good enough. And into the eggs, which are here. You can also use a white pepper. Now it goes in the pan. Oh, I like that sound. And now we have to have something that's tough to have in a cooking situation, which is patience. We have to wait a little bit until the omelet sets. If we were going to scramble the egg, we'd be moving the eggs all over the place. But because we want an omelet, we're going to keep it all in one piece. Now I see the egg is starting to set around the edges, so I'm going to push it in a little bit and tilt the pan. And let the uncooked part of the egg fill in the spaces. There we go. They say with French cooking, the two things you need the most are good ingredients and patience. Because eggs are very good ingredients. They have a lot of iron and protein, and they're very inexpensive. So when you go off and live on your own or you're at college, then you are going to appreciate the value of the egg and the fact that you get a lot for a little bit of money. And they're very versatile too. The pleats in a chef's hat, every pleat represents a different way to make an egg. And look, our eggs are almost done. I'm still moving around, getting them underneath. And they're solidifying. I'm going to turn my heat down a little bit. You want your eggs to still look a little bit wet. They shouldn't be completely dry. Okay, we're just about there. All right. I'm going to add my ham right in the middle, keeping the handle inward where it's safe. Here we go. Add my peppers, right like this. That looks good. Right. And we're going to snip in some parsley. Also need some cheddar cheese. Measure out 1/4 of a cup. Whoops. This is a leveler. Helps you level off and get the right amount. That can go right down the middle as well. Now we're ready to flip. Up goes one side, whoops, and here comes the other side, and it's like an envelope that closes for you. So now I'm going to take the omelet and set it out. Here it comes. Whoosh. Flipping over again. All done. You can now cut it into 3 or 4 pieces and serve it to your kitchen. And that's the Mount Olive omelet.